Good evening. It says I'm live. This is Father David Nix, and the title of this short one that I'm doing here in my car again is Humility and Boldness in the Traditional World. Or maybe I put in Boldness and Humility in the Traditional World. You know, it was maybe 10 years ago, there was a talk by Father Ripperger that got a lot of mileage. It was basically about a lack of humility in the traditional world. And I think way too many normie Catholics kind of weaponized that against traditionalists rather. Maybe that talk got too much mileage. Maybe it was all true. I haven't asked Father Ripperger what he thinks about it, but I think he would probably agree with me that things have gotten a lot better in the traditional world the last 10 years as it's grown and people have had to get ready and used to people from the Novus Ordo world coming in, the COVIDocracy, and so I would say actually the parishes that I've seen have a lot more humility and an evangelical outlook that it's no longer this pull up the drawbridge attitude. Many traditional Catholics actually want to bring people to the fullness of the faith. Um, but what I've noticed online recently is everything that Father Ripperger talked about in that talk about 10 years ago. Just as I think Michael Mack calls it, we're living in a circular firing line, and things are really bad in the traditional world in this circular firing line. And I'm not just talking about like the three big fights in the traditional world everyone can kind of name on Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of smaller ones. So I woke up this morning thinking about, well, how do we navigate this? Because hello from someone says in the live chat, hello from Chile, where the unvaxxed still have no mass. God bless you. That's incredible. Um, but I woke up this morning thinking, well, if we're going to tell traditionalists to live more humbly, but they're fighting for the right thing, where do we draw the line? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of my ideas, just where we draw that threshold on boldness and humility. Um, so, Traditionalists are really harsh to each other right now. Catholics as a whole are horrible to each other on Twitter. And so here's my guideline for you that I'm going to just give you right out from the start here. It is defend your ideals, don't attack people. Um, G.K. Chesterton had this amazing line. He said, "We're on the road to producing a race of men too mentally modest to believe in the multiplication table." We're on the road to producing a race of men too mentally modest to believe in the multiplication table. So what I'm not saying is give up your fight for fighting for apostolic liturgy, for apostolic doctrine. There's certainly a time to even expose the work of darkness, as it says in Ephesians 6. If you want to expose what Bill Gates is doing or a public heretic, sometimes we actually have to name names. But you know, if you can look at the top 10 issues of liturgy and doctrine, and if you know someone out there who agrees with 9 of the 10, leave them alone. You know, we're going to be judged on charity, not tweaking the tiny fine points of the greatest church crisis in history. Um, and I see all these traditionalists attacking one another for 1 out of 10. Look, if you agree with 8 out of 10 with the next guy on the major issues, um, then don't be publicly exposing someone just because they disagree with you on one of these smaller things. So I'm not saying to give up your fight on any things, because what we're fighting for in the greatest church crisis in history is super important. But fight for ideals, not against people. And by ideals, I don't mean like the relativistic values like most people mean in the postmodern society. By ideals, I mean objective liturgy and objective doctrine. But you can do that without naming somebody. So I'm not overturning what G.K. Chesterton, the warning that Chesterton said, we're on the road to producing a race of men too mentally modest to believe in the multiplication table. I'm not saying be modest on your beliefs. I'm saying be modest on your attacks on other people, because you can bring forth the light of the truth with great zeal and great boldness, even the smaller things that are really important to you, without naming the names of the people who are against you. Again, there's big names like Fauci we have to name because these people are doing public destruction, to killing a lot of people on that stuff. Public heretics we have to name. But again, you're not really going to promote the gospel if you're just spending time ripping on people. So do not have modesty on your beliefs, but do have modesty before your brother Christians, before your brother Catholics, and especially before your brother traditional Catholics, with whom you have more in common than not.